Hello, welcome to another episode of CripChat. I seem tonight is really empty. Actually, we have Timothy Lachlan. You know him as my trusty co-host, but I hear you've been involved in a little project. First of all, for people listening, watching, tell us a bit about yourself and why you became involved with this organization.
All right. Well, I got involved with Australian Disability because, I don't know, how do I describe the story? Well, I guess I'll just describe how it came about. I saw on Facebook that Australian Disability was searching for more members to form the board, and after I looked into the mission and stuff and what Australian Disability aims to achieve, I saw that aligns a lot with what I am trying to achieve, which is equality for people with disabilities. And why wouldn't I have taken the opportunity to join into an organization that shares the same ideals as myself, but also is looking to create better pathways for people with disability in Australia? So I think being part of it and watching how the organization is going to grow over the years is a really inspiring thing for me. I also got involved in the CripChat side of things because I believe there needs to be more education on disability, and what better way to do that than to actually put yourself out there and be the one doing the educating. Uh, so I guess my knowledge of disability comes from lived experience. I have hypermobility spectrum disorder, so in summary, my joints are super bendy, or some of them, and with that, it means I have to use more effort to walk. So I use a wheelchair part time, and part of being in a wheelchair is seeing how inaccessible the world around you is, and that's part of what's inspired me to get involved with Australian Disability, is so we can address the issues in society, such as access and built sort of I guess ingrained discrimination, tearing that down through educating the public. And yeah, getting involved has really helped encourage me to keep pursuing my OT degree so I can use the skills I learned from that to help further the mission, really.
We did have a comment first of the night. Thank you from Patricia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, hello, Patricia, and everyone else watching. I hope I haven't bored you too much with my rambling already. But another thing, you were speaking of the project I was working on. This also relates to disability, so it's an important thing. I've been part of a co-design committee for the past year or so, almost a year, I'd say, yeah, what even is time anymore during these times? I don't know how long length of time is. But anyway, I've been working as part of a co-design committee to put together. I believe it's the first disability summit for young people with disabilities in Australia. So, what the main focus of the summit is? Well, there's a few main focuses really, but it's looking at access and inclusion, and in particular, it's seeking input from young people about what they want to see in regards to access and inclusion, like what sort of improvements. Uh, it also focuses on education, so not only education about disability, but people with disabilities receiving education and how they are treated in schools, universities, and that sort of thing. So it's the point of the summit is to really give young people with disability a platform to voice their ideas and suggestions. And also another thing that's going to be part of the summit is there's like the National Disability Strategy, and in part of that, we're doing some interviews with young people with disabilities uh, across like a few different domains. Like I said, education, access, and inclusion, and seeing what young people's feedback is in that area. And once we gather the feedback from there, the National Disability Strategy is what goes on to inform the NDIS. So it's quite a big thing.
It's strange you talk about what you're doing because over the past year I've been involved in setting up a youth inside physical disability Australia. Now, what we have found is people assume that young people are digital native and that they would latch on to technologies like Zoom, Twitter, but I guess attracting them and keeping them engaged is a major challenge or barrier to genuine consultation. Has that been your experience?
Well, because I haven't actually done any online consultation work, what this summit is going to be is because of the current situation being the pandemic. We've had to move it all online. So, from what I gather, most of the summit's going to be run through platforms such as Zoom and Hopin. But I believe, like, when we're going to have like the consultations with people, it's going to be, I think, either in a one-on-one setting or in breakout rooms of I think up to 5 people. That's just off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but it's providing some sort of online way for people to engage. So I'm keen to see how that's going to play out actually, because I've attended like online conferences for OT stuff, and it's run quite well. So I imagine it could be a similar scenario here, and seeing the planning that's gone into it, especially around like accessibility options, like they've got inbuilt screen readers and stuff. They're going to have Auslan interpreters. So from what I've seen, it's going to be the most accessible online sort of disability based event. So yeah, it's going to be a real learning thing for us all to see how it pans out. Really.
You, you bring up a good talking point. I've been really pleased about how during the pandemic, disability organizations have been really innovative in how they engage, particularly with young people. I know I've been doing at least one Zoom social hour a week on top of my getting all my therapies on to telepractice, but I'm keen to hear from you how we can maintain this momentum to create a more inclusive space.
So if I heard your question right, because the internet's a bit bad on my end, how can we continue the accessibility that we've had made available?
And the momentum is created.
Yeah, I guess keeping the momentum going, that's probably going to keep going, touch wood, for the duration of the pandemic, because people aren't going to be going out as much, so they're going to be engaging more with social media and their phones and stuff. But in keeping the momentum going post pandemic, that's probably when we're going to have to shift how we've done things from this online manner back to the physical world, but also keeping an aspect of the online world, because I think people as a whole are going to be a lot more connected online, even in a world where we don't have to stay inside anymore.
So tell me, you've been keeping quiet on something you post about quite regularly. What is wheelchair motor laws and how can people check it out and get involved?
Yeah, that's a good question you ask. So, wheelchair motocross, it stands for, the short of it is WCMX, similar to like BMX or bike motocross. And basically, what it is using a wheelchair in a skate park in place of a skateboard or a scooter or a BMX bike to do like tricks and stuff. You've probably seen the guy from Nitro Circus, Wheels, how he goes down like a mega ramp and does a backflip. So it's that sort of thing, like using a wheelchair to do extreme stunts. But in saying that, not everybody has to throw themselves down a like 30-story ramp in order to be a WCMX rider. It's basically just you take your wheelchair to the skate park and you use it how you you know a skateboarder or a bike rider would use their device to do tricks. And part of how I got involved in it was I just saw videos of the guy from Nitro Circus when he landed the first wheelchair backflip, and I was like 12 at the time, so I bugged my parents to take me to the skate park, and I had like just a basic hospital wheelchair, and started going down small stuff, and then gradually I got to bigger ramps, and one day I took my hospital wheelchair down a 12-foot drop in and snapped it clean in half. So that was the end of that chair. Then I was lucky enough to get a wheelchair that had suspension built into it, and after a bit of modification, I rode that for a while, a few years, and then eventually I was lucky enough to save up enough money to get a proper wheelchair made for the sport, so made by the same guy who makes the wheelchairs for the guy for Nitro Circus. And
Um, so we have a long comment from Jeff.
I can read that one out for you if you want. So this one's from Sue, and she says, the thing I come across that frustrates me the most is the fact that people think that we're stupid just because a person can't express himself the same way as another. They think we're stupid and deaf. They speak slow and loud. It's annoying. Len Somerville had cerebral palsy and was incredibly intelligent. We're very good friends before he died. He performed all over the country with his trick dogs, and he was also a poet and regular on the Bob Francis show. If more people, I won't actually load the rest of the comment from where I am. I'm reading the comment from StreamYard, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do agree that people think people with disabilities are incapable, and you know that we're weak or less than human, and that's not the case at all. That's part of why I'm looking forward to this summit so much, is because it's going to shine light on the strengths that people with disabilities have, and it's especially encouraging that we're going to be doing that from a youth perspective. So reminding young people with disabilities that they are more than a label and they are capable, and also like yeah, just reminding them really that they are capable and that they can advocate for a better life for themselves. But like when you think how far we've come in the past 50 years regarding attitudes towards disability, it's pretty good. It could be better, but there's been a lot of progress, and people, well, the ones in particular who think people with disabilities aren't capable, tend to think that we're not as good because they've never actually seen somebody with a disability do something normal, I guess, is what I'll say. Like that's I'll tie it back into wheelchair motocross, and that's why I like WCMX so much. Is because when you see a wheelchair like drop in or do tricks, you don't see a disability. You see someone out there doing tricks, so it kind of breaks down the stigma that a wheelchair or disability is a bad thing. And in reality, it's not. So I think that's where it all comes back to education. I always say in showing that people with disabilities can get out there and can achieve. It doesn't even have to be like physical things that we do. Like as Sue said, that her friend was a poet and stuff. Like just because somebody can't speak verbally or like signs or something, it doesn't mean that they're not there in their head. They just have a different way of communicating, and it doesn't mean they're any less because of it. But yeah, it comes back to demonstrating that people with disabilities are capable. We just have different ways of doing things.
Look, Sue and Tim and everyone else watching. one of the reasons I started this organization is I have the same dream. I was a young kid with cerebral palsy who, who if it wasn't for a few good people at the Department of Education would be sorry if the friends of people were sharp special skill. And I became the first physically disabled student at my local primary school. The shame was the principal was too afraid of my apparent intellectual impairment, which I didn't even have to bring down the school testing grade. So we had to write to every parent of the same year group and get them to support my own enrollment. And then when I entered high school, because near the end of primary, I started to walk independently. The high school was area. Our favorite term, work, health, and safety. So they wanted me in a wheelchair. They wanted me to use a walker. Then they complained putting me in the walker was too much trouble. My point is, in this world, exclusion is everywhere. In fact, exclusion itself is what the disabled because if institutions and individuals have the right attitudes that teach the next generation that it is not okay to exclude someone based on the way they walk, the way they talk, the fact they may not see, hear, speak, or have the same intellectual or social capacity. No, my friends, that is an opportunity to teach inclusion in its purest form.
Yeah, I agree. When like segregation is terrible for a multitude of reasons, but when you look at like the effects of it, so when we put people or children with disabilities in special education units and don't let them have any mainstream classes, they are segregated. And not only are they kept away from the other students are kept away from them. So they don't have any exposure to disability or people who are different from them in physical or cognitive ability. And that's part of what continues the idea that segregation is okay, because people get raised alongside that and they think that's just how it is. But like in schools where they are more inclusive, you see attitudes towards disability are they're, they're what it should be. It's not really seeing disability at all. It's just treating people like people, regardless of what shape, color, whatever they are. Like, this is probably going to sound hippie, but at the end of the day, we're all made of atoms. Why does it matter how they're put together? Why can't we just treat each other, decently? It doesn't really matter what shape or size you are. Just treat each other like people. I don't understand why people are so hateful towards people who look different, but I guess that's just conditioning.
I hate to get even deeper, but remember what Martin Luther King said, judging me not by the color of my skin, but of the content of my character. Well, maybe it's time the disability rights movement coined the saying, judge me not by my lack of ability, but celebrate my uniqueness as an individual.
Yeah, exactly. And in saying that, every person, disabled or not, does have something to contribute to society. Even if the person has a cognitive disability, it just because they, for instance, might not be able to talk, they might be the most kind and loving person in the world. Like my sister, for instance, she is mostly nonverbal, and she's just super loving and stoked about life, and she's just got like a zest for life that I've never seen in anyone else, and that's a uniqueness that only she has, that I've seen only in her. And so to value like what people bring as opposed to what they, you know, don't have, so to speak, that's kind of the takeaway message, is focus on the good in people, and see more than the shell.
I get to bring my personal story for the kid. The most ironic thing was when I graduated primary school in the same year that principal left the school for, wait, for a promotion. And I believe that's the only reason why I got the principal's the principal's platinum award for, and this is a quote, outstanding contribution to the life of the school. Now I want you to remember that just in the 70s and 60s, people with disabilities were fighting just for the right to education to be recognized. And because of that, people were getting university degrees before they actually got their lower level qualifications recognized. Or some may still be forced into life skills. Well, my question with the economy going the way you have an employer with one job, who are you going to employ? The able body with a bachelor of masters or a or a person with disabilities with life certificate who is a hard and diligent worker. Who will you employ?
Yeah, like part of it is again the education side of things, like showing that people with disabilities are indeed capable, and if not more capable than their able-bodied counterparts. Like, for instance, if a person with a disability has obtained higher education and shows more skill set, why wouldn't you hire them? Like, I think people tend to turn down people with disabilities on jobs because they have like assumptions about what they can and can't do. So they just think, oh, well, I might have to install a wheelchair ramp, or I might have to do this or that, or like they'll just jump to like conclusions about what the person can and can't do without actually asking the person. Whereas if they have an able-bodied applicant alongside that person, they don't have to think about those access questions. So that's why they tend to exclude people with disabilities, because there's a lot of like underlying assumptions, and challenging those assumptions is what's going to open up more space and allow more people with disabilities to be employed. And it's really just a case of see what we can do, not what we can't.
We have a comment. Oh, thank you, Betsy. I guess it's saying one of us, oh, both of us is not stupid at all. You're and says mind my involuntary movement.
What was that? Sorry, Jonathan, I couldn't hear you over my internet.
She says you're all stuff. I guess that raises another point I wanted to raise is when the level of complimenting become too much.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, there is like a fine line between compliments and condescending. Like, I understand that because I was an able-bodied person at one point in my life, and although I've always grown up alongside disability, I can understand the sort of like looking at disability and thinking that it's this pitiful thing. So when you see a person with a disability doing something mundane or for themselves, you think, oh, good on them. It really touches my heart, type thing. But like that's a very shallow view to take. Hang on, my alarm's going off. Let me just shut that off. But yeah, back to the point. The point where it becomes like condescending is like, I think if you disregard what the people with disability are actually saying or trying to convey, or even if they're just doing something simple and you come along and pat them on the back for it type thing, even if the person with a disability has said they don't think they're exceptional because of what they're doing. Like, yeah, I understand that it can be from a like positive sort of place, but it's how people say it that makes it sound condescending.
What is some of your least favorite ways of people treating you? Like, what really gets under your skin?
I'd say the most recent sort of example I can give of this, and I don't know if you've experienced this yourself, but like in the pandemic times, especially if you go out to a store or something, people completely ignore the social distancing and they will like lean over you and pretty much shove their ass in your face. Like, I've had people fall on me during this pandemic, and usually people don't trip over me, they see me. Like, I've had people back into me and fully like fall onto my lap. So like people it seems people are really quite disregarding of people with disabilities, especially during this time. Like, that's just an observation I've made. But prior to that, what really annoys me is like if I'm doing something as simple as reaching for a packet of noodles off the damn shelf at the supermarket or something, right? Something simple. Like, I reach above my head and like I can reach the thing, obviously. I've got the damn thing in my hand. I just need to bring my arm back down to me. And just as I'm doing that, people will like rush over into my personal space and be like, "Do you need a hand with that?" And I'm like, "I know you mean well, but I've already done the thing. Can you not?" Like, I understand it's you're trying to be helpful, but if there's any able-bodied people listening to this, if you see a person with a disability grabbing something off the shelf for themselves, don't automatically assume that they're struggling or need help. Like, just ask them as opposed to rush up and grab the item out of their hand and put it on the lap, because we're not children, we're not dogs, we don't need things done for us, we don't need a pat on the head. Like, if you saw a able-bodied person with a broken arm trying to reach for something off the shelf and they were struggling, I'd probably ask them first if they needed help before diving right in. Because another issue I find when people dive right in is like they make me drop things. Like, I'm trying to grab something and they grab the same thing in my hand. It's a whole thing.
My kind of pet peeve, maybe this is just me because of the way I talk and walk, but absolute strangers come to me and suddenly speak in a very loud and high pitched voice, and they hi, hi. They treat me like the intelligence of either a 5-year-old or a toddler. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm as you need. I mean, not to be judgmental of them, but I probably have been to more adversity they could go through. time where you get so frustrated, and how do you bottle that in and use that as a force for good? We have another comment from Cindy. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, sure, I'll read this one out. So from Cindy, she says she's a person without a disability, but she has a son with autism, and she finds our conversation very enlightening. I'm glad we're entertaining to you, Cindy. I hope I'm not rambling too much and boring you all. But I'd also like to say that it's really awesome that you, as a parent of a child with a disability, are actively looking into disability culture and understanding that early on, because I'll discuss my own experience here. As I've mentioned before, I've got a 21-year-old sister with mostly nonverbal autism, and growing up, my parents were very sort of ableist in the way they treated her, and that they still are, unfortunately, but that's a whole different story. But I believe that could have been prevented had they engaged with people with disabilities and organizations focused around helping people with disabilities early on. So my main takeaway from that is keep doing what you're doing and like understanding the world of disability, because one day you're I don't know if he's an adult already, but your son, when he is an adult, you'll want him to be in a community where he is supported and has, like-minded people who share the same experience, and friends that you can just connect with. So yeah, establishing those connections early on is a vital thing.
Yeah, what I would add to that is man, what Cindy has just said, and so for context for everyone listening at home, Cindy has said she's 14. What, speaking from recent experience, what I read in credible media, maybe Tim can add to this, but teenagers and people with developmental disabilities can be, in a sense, more formative, but in a way that makes it more challenging and maybe problematic. But other than that, I like reading too much into it. Cindy, this live video will stay up. So if at any time you want to send us a direct message, please do so. But yeah, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I do agree that it can be difficult being a young person with a disability, especially in the teenage years. And I think I'll use this opportunity to bring back to the point of this upcoming Youth Disability Summit. Uh, with the Youth Disability Summit, it's mostly for people under 30, but there is an open day. And let's see if I can share my screen right now. I'll actually show you all the website. Let's see, will it allow me to do it? Entire screen, allow. Let's see how we go. All right. So, have you allowed people to see my screen, Jonathan? All right, cool. So yeah, what you should be able to see now is the registration page for the National Youth Disability Summit. And this was the summit I was talking about, how I was part of the co-design committee for. And the main point of this summit is to, well, here we go. Why are we running this summit? I'll read it for you guys here. It's giving people or young people with disabilities a space to feel included and supported. It gives them a space to learn and share new skills. It's an opportunity to inform policymakers and governments about what change young people with disability want. It's also an opportunity for parents to, I guess, find out what young people with disabilities think on a wide variety of topics. So, what we can do is we'll actually post some links later this week. Maybe we can do it tomorrow or something. But yeah, basically the summit focuses on young people with disabilities, various areas such as access and inclusion, education, pretty much any area of life we will be discussing at some point or another. So if you do want to register for it, we will post the links for that. But yeah, that's my little advertisement for the day done. And the summit is from the. Sorry, I have an absolute scatterbrain. I've been studying too much. It's from the 29th of September to the 3rd of October.
And what's the organization called if people want to Google it?
So the organisation that's put this one together is called Children and Young People with Disability Australia. They're based out of Victoria, and the summit is called National Youth Disability Summit.
So for people at home, if you just Google National Disability Youth Alliance and Digital K1, I'm sure you'll find details, and if not, well, message this page and I'll pass your query to my mate Timothy and I. So between us, we can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kicking off next week, so we will definitely make some sort of posts around the page so people can, get more info before it actually kicks off.
For sure, maybe after this, could you help me put the post together so I can schedule it to go out on Sunday?
Yeah, I can do that, no problem. But anyway, I think I've bored everyone thoroughly. Do we have anything else to talk about, or shall we wrap this one up?
So, do you have any final words at all? Maybe, can I know you're not ready with this topic, but can you tease people with what you've been working on for CripChat behind the scenes?
What I've been working on for CripChat behind the scenes. Okay, hang on. I believe we had a working title somewhere around here. Let me just go through my files. I have been absolutely terrible with my memory today. I have spent all of my mental energy on doing an assignment, so if I make no sense, I apologize.
Look, a few weeks ago, I was exactly in your shoes, and I'm so grateful that I'm on my mid-semester break. And I did to that just I'm between two providers because my old provider decided it wasn't profitable enough to stay in disability services. But anyway, yet again, a story for another episode. Tim, do you have any small detail you share, even if it's just a word or two?
I'll take you up on your offer of just a word. Let's see, advocacy. That's the teaser I'll use for the meantime. Mostly because I can't think of a better sentence than that.
So, for people watching this, the clue is advocacy. think you know the answer to our host Tim's cryptic clue. Comment below. You won't win anything but the videos make people laugh or at least I laugh.
We could give away a virtual cookie, just like a PNG image of a cookie. So there's some incentive.
Oh, I do have a few shirts with our logo. I could probably send them a shirt.
Yeah, we could do that to sweeten the deal.
Yeah. So should we call it an episode?
Yeah, I reckon we should wrap things up.
So, look, you guys have been spectacular tonight. It's your comment, like, love, hey, I would be happy if I could give the love here and there, but then suggested the frustrated comic in me. But you will be watching or listening to CripChat. Remember, apart from being on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, we're also on your favorite podcast platform, be it Apple or Spotify. So when you see the anchor link in your social media feed, remember to share, like, and share the ultimate love and subscribe and tell your friends to do the same. But for now, it's bye from me, your host, Jonathan.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
And now everyone, favorite part to watch a lot of and